Hi, I'm Manny Arceneaux, and today we're going to be reading Genesis chapters 20 through 23. Now Abraham journeyed from there towards the land of Negev and settled between Kadesh and Shur. Then he sojourned in Gerar. Abraham said of Sarah his wife, "She is my sister." So Abimelech, king of Gerar, sent and took Sarah. But God came to Abimelech in a dream of the night and said to him, "Behold, you are a dead man because of the woman whom you have taken, for she is married." Now Abimelech had not come near her and said, "Lord, will you slay a nation, even though blameless? Did he not himself say to me, 'She is my sister'? And she herself said, 'He is my brother.' In the integrity of my heart and the innocence of my hands, I have done this." Then God said to him in the dream, "Yes, I know that in the integrity of your heart you have done this, and also kept you from sinning against me. Therefore, I did not let you touch her. Now therefore restore the man's wife, for he is a prophet, and he will pray for you, and you will live. But if you do not restore her, know that you shall surely die, and you and all who are yours." So Abimelech arose early in the morning and called all his servants and told all these things in their hearing, and the men were greatly frightened. Then Abimelech called Abraham and said to him, "What have you done to us? And how have you sinned against us? And how have I sinned against you, that you have brought on me and on my kingdom a great sin? You have done to me things that ought not be done." And Abimelech said to Abraham, "What have you encountered, that you have done this thing?" Abraham said, "Because I thought, surely there is no fear of God in this place, and they will kill me because of my wife. Besides, she actually is my sister, the daughter of my father, but not the daughter of my mother, and she became my wife. And it came about when God caused me to wander from my father's house and said to her, 'This is the kindness which you show to me. Everywhere we go, say of me, he is my brother.' Abimelech then took sheep and oxen and male and female servants and gave them to Abraham and restored his wife, Sarah, to him. Abimelech said, 'Behold, my land is before you. Settle wherever you please.' To Sarah he said, 'Behold, I have given your brother 1,000 pieces of silver. Behold, is that your vindication that before all of who are you before?'" Start that one over. Verse 15, Abimelech said, "Behold, my land is before you. Settle wherever you please." To Sarah he said, "Behold, I have given your brother 1,000 pieces of silver. Behold, is it your vindication before all who are with you, and before all men you are cleared?" Abraham prayed to God, and God healed Abimelech and his wife and his maids, so that they bore children. For the Lord has closed fast all the wombs of the household of Abimelech because of Sarah, Abraham's wife. Chapter 21. Then the Lord took note of Sarah, as he said, and the Lord did for Sarah as he had promised. So Sarah conceived and bore a son to Abraham in his old age, at the appointed time of which God had spoken to him. Abraham called the name of his son, who was born to him, who Sarah bore to him, Isaac. Then Abraham circumcised his son Isaac when he was 8 days old. God had commanded him. Now Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born to him. Sarah said, "God has made laughter for me. Everyone who hears will laugh with me." And she said, "Who would have said to Abraham that Sarah would nurse children? Yet I have borne him a son in his old age." The child grew and was weaned, and Abraham made a great feast on the day Isaac was weaned. Now Sarah saw the son of Hagar, an Egyptian, who she had borne to Abraham mocking. Therefore she said to Abraham, drive out this maid and her son, for the son of this maid shall not be an heir with my son Isaac. The matter distressed Abraham greatly because of his son. But God said to Abraham, do not distress because of the lad and your maid. Whatever Sarah tells you, listen to her. For through Isaac your descendants shall be named. And of the son of the maid I will make a nation, also because he is your descendant. So Abraham rose early in the morning and took bread and a skin of water and gave them to Hagar, putting them on his shoulder, and gave her a boy and sent her away. And she departed and wandered about in the wilderness of Beersheba. When the water in the skin was used up, she left the boy under one of the bushes. Then she went and sat down opposite him, about a bow shot away, for she said, do not let me see the boy die. And she sat opposite him and lifted her voice and wept. God, hear the lad crying. And the angel of God called to Hagar from heaven and said to her, what is the matter with you, Hagar? Do not fear, for God has heard the voice of the lad where he is. Arise, lift up the lad, and hold him by the hand, for I will make a great nation of him. Then God opened her eyes. She saw a well of water, and she went and filled the skin with water and gave the lad a drink. God was with the lad, and he grew, and he lived in the wilderness and became an archer. He lived in the wilderness of Paran, and his mother took a wife for him from the land of Egypt. Now it came about that time that Abimelech and Pekal, the commander of his army, spoke to Abraham, saying, God is with you in all that you do. Now therefore swear to me here by God that you will not deal falsely with me, or with my offspring, or with my posterity, but according to kindness that I have shown to you, you shall show me into the land in which you have sojourned. Abraham said, I swear it. But Abraham complained to Abimelech because of the well of water which the servants of Abimelech had seized. And Abimelech said, I do not know who has done this thing. You did not tell me, nor did I hear of it until today. Abraham took sheep and oxen and gave them to Abimelech, and the two of them made a covenant. Then Abraham set 7 ewe lambs of the flock by themselves. Abimelech said to Abraham, what do these 7 ewe lambs mean? Which of you have set by themselves? He said, you shall take these 7 ewe lambs, and from my hand, so that it may be witness to me that I dug this well. Therefore he called the place Beersheba, because there are 2 of them took an oath. So they made a covenant at Beersheba, and Abimelech and Phicol, the commander of his army, arose and returned to the land of Philistines. Abraham planted a tamarisk tree at Beersheba, and there he called on the name of the Lord, the everlasting God. And Abraham sojourned in the land of the Philistines for many days. Chapter 22. Now it came about after these things that God tested Abraham and said to him, Abraham. And he said, here I am. He said, take now your son, your only son, whom you love, Isaac, go to the land of Moriah, and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains of which I will tell you. So Abraham rose early in the morning and saddled his donkey, and took 2 of his young men with him, and Isaac his son, and he split wood for the burnt offering, and arose and went to the place of which God had told him. On the 3rd day, Abraham raised his eyes and saw the place from a distance. Abraham said to his young man, stay here with the donkey, and I and the lad will go over there, and we will worship and return to you. Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it on Isaac, his son. He took it in his hand, the fire and the knife. So the 2 of them walked on together. Isaac spoke to Abraham, his father, and said, my father. And he said, here I am, my son. And he said, Behold, the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for the burnt offering? Abraham said, God will provide for himself the lamb for the burnt offering, my son. So the two of them walked on together. They came to the place of which God had told him, and Abraham built the altar there and arranged the wood and bound his son Isaac and laid him on the altar on top of the wood. Abraham stretched out his hand and took the knife to slay his son. But the angel of the Lord called him from heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, Here I am. He said, Do not stretch out your hand against the lad and do nothing to him, for now I know that you fear God. Since you have not withheld your son, your only sons, from me. Then Abraham raised his eyes and looked, and behold, behind him a ram caught in a thicket by the horns. And Abraham went and took the ram and offered him up for a burnt offering in the place of his son. Abraham called the name of that place, The Lord will provide, as it is said to this day, in the mount of the Lord it will be provided. Then the angel of the Lord called to Abraham a second time from heaven and said, By myself I have sworn, declares the Lord, because you have done this thing and have not withheld your son, your only son. Indeed, I will greatly bless you, and I will greatly multiply your seed as the stars of the heaven and as the sand which is on the seashore, and your seed shall possess the gate of their enemies. In your seed all the nations of the earth shall be blessed, because you have obeyed my voice. So Abraham returned to his young men, and they arose and went together to Beersheba, and Abraham lived at Beersheba. Now it came about after these things that it was told Abraham, saying, Behold, Michal also has borne children to your brother Nahor. Uz, firstborn of Buz, his brother, and Kemuel, the father of Aram, and Chest, and Hazo, and Podash, and Jelaph, and Bethel. Bethel became the father of Rebekah. These 8 Micah bore to Nahor, Abraham's brother. His concubine, whose name was Ramah, also bore to Ba and Gaham, and to Shah and Makkah. Chapter 23. Now Sarah lived 127 years. These were the years of the life of Sarah. Sarah died in Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron, in the land of Canaan, and Abraham went in to mourn for Sarah and to weep for her. Then Abraham rose from before his dead and spoke to the sons of Heth, and saying, I am a stranger and a sojourner among you. Give me a burial site among you, that I may bury my dead out of my sight. The sons of Heth answered Abraham, saying to him, Hear us, my lord, you are a mighty prince among us. Bury your dead in the choicest of our grave. None of us will refuse you his grave for burying your dead. So Abraham rose and bowed to the people of the land, the sons of Heth, and he spoke with them, saying, If it is your wish for me to bury my dead out of my sight, hear me and approach Ephron and son of Zohar for me, that he may give me the cave of Machpelah, which he owns, which is at the end of his field. For the full price, let him give it to me in your presence for a burial site. Now Ephron was sitting among the sons of Heth, and Ephron the Hittite answered Abraham in the hearing of the sons of Heth, even of all who went in at the gate of his city, saying, No, my lord, hear me. I give you the field, and I give you the cave that is in it. In the presence of the sons of my people, I give it to you. Bury your dead. And Abraham bowed before the people of the land. He spoke to Ephron in the hearing of the people of the land, saying, If you will only please listen to me, I will give the price of the field. Accept it from me, that I may bury my dead there. Then Ephron answered Abraham, saying to him, My lord, listen to me. A piece of land worth 400 shekels of silver? What is that between me and you? So bury your dead. Abraham listened to Ephron, and Abraham weighed out for Ephron the silver which he had named in the hearing of his son's Heth, 400 shekels of silver, commercial standard. So Ephron's field, which was in Machpelah, which faced Mamre, the field and cave which was in it, and all the trees which were in the field that were within all the confines of its border, were deeded over to Abraham for a possession in the presence of his son of Heth, before all who went in at the gate of his city. After this, Abraham buried Sarah, his wife, in the cave of the field at Machpelah facing Mamre, that is Hebron, in the land of Canaan. So the field and the cave that is in it were deeded over to Abraham for a burial site by the sons of Heth. Everyone stay blessed, and I wish everyone well. Thank you.
Hi, friends, and welcome to Fear into Faith, a global Bible revival where we're on a mission to get 1 billion people to read God's Word cover to cover. I'm your host, Summer Day, and with me is Manny Arceneaux. Did I get that?
Nah, you nailed it. That's actually correct.
Fabulous. Also known as The Manny Show.
Yes.
But we're going to get into that in a minute here. Okay, Manny Arceneaux, where are you from?
I'm from Alexandria, Louisiana.
You're from Louisiana.
Yes, man.
My spiritual mom was from Louisiana.
Okay.
I love it. And now you're living in the Dallas area?
Yeah. North Dallas, Prosper, Texas. Made that home in 2019 when I made the move to Texas.
And why did you move to Texas?
More opportunities, better living for my family, and just Texas a better spot than me being in Louisiana, small town. So at some point you outgrow that.
You have a wife, kids?
Yes, been married 6 years. My wife, Manny Arceneaux. I have my son, Deuce. He's Emmanuel the second. So he's 6, and I have a 3-year-old, Elijah. And now we're waiting on Enzo. That should be here end of October, early November.
I like these names.
So 3 boys. So it's Emmanuel, Elijah, Enzo.
Nice. Emmanuel, Elijah, Enzo.
Yeah.
Great. And what do you do?
So I'm a performance coach, sports performance. I do youth athletic development out in the Prosper area. Then, 2 weeks ago, just started coaching wide receivers at Legacy Christian Academy.
Nice.
Up in Frisco, after a 14-year stint playing football professionally. So I'm in my transition right now.
Your transition.
Yeah.
But you used to play professionally. Tell me about that.
So I played, 8 years in the Canadian Football League, which is the CFL.
Mm-hmm.
I was in the NFL for 2 years, the Minnesota Vikings.
Minnesota Vikings. Do we go, whoop, whoop, Minnesota Vikings?
The Washington Redskins.
Redskins.
Right, and I did 1 year after COVID with the Frisco Fighters.
Definitely, Frisco Fighters.
The arena football team that was out here. So that was my 14 years of playing football professionally.
And what position did you play?
Wide receiver.
Wide receiver. That's the one who catches the ball and makes the touchdowns, right?
First downs and touchdowns.
Come on, I know my football.
That's how you get the Manny Show. Catching touchdowns.
Oh, it wasn't from your celebration dances?
Yeah, that's what it was.
Man, I wish we were on a stage right now. I need to see that later.
Gotcha.
I need to see that later. Dad, can we get that in the B-roll? We got to see that later. Man, if I ever was going to play football, that's what I wanted to be. I want to be the one who catches the ball and gets to run into the end zone and do a dance.
That's the exciting part.
Yeah. What's the transition been like now to slip into coach?
Ooh, it's kind of different. Football give you that structure, and you've done something over and over, your routine. So really for me, I miss really like the locker room, training camp, the hard part. So it's like, how do I find that? But transitioning and getting into youth sports, each kid is different talent levels, some with confidence, none. So it's like, how can I bridge that gap? And it's like wringing out a towel. You know how you want to get every ounce of water.
Yeah, come on.
That's how it is with each kid. Like, how can I pull out of them what's there that they don't know yet? And I think that's what gives me that, that drive to wake up every day in this new phase and this pivot of like, you know what? I was part of the 1%. Let me be that when it comes to mentor. Let me be that when it comes to coaching. And I think that's what made my transition probably a smooth one. And I would say that it's going quite well because every time we get a new kid, it's different, and coaching a group of high school football players is different. So it's like really not just about the coaching, it's the mentoring aspect, I think, for me, that gives me that, you know what, I'm looking forward to waking up tomorrow so I get to mentor this kid or help them get better with not just sports, but life skills in general.
Come on. Now, believe it or not, I've never actually played professional football. So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
You mentioned, missing kind of the hard part. And I was just wondering, I feel like in America in general, people idolize football celebrities or stuff like that. But like, sometimes I don't think we think about the hard part. What was the most challenging or difficult part being in the CFL or NFL?
Being where your feet are. And I say that because your life, now at your palm, your fingertips, you have the social media. You have all those things, man, where you can get distracted from that. People have families they have to take care of. And when you're an athlete, you're proclaimed the breadwinner. People gonna tell you what you want to hear, not what you need to hear. You always giving. You don't learn what no means. So I think that's the hard part, is that you stretch yourself so thin, but you've been blessed and you think that, you know what, those people help me, I have to help them. And I think that's something that all athletes know, that it's okay to say no. It's okay to not be okay. But that's the hard part of just saying, how can I be normal knowing that technically you are, but you're not? Because you're under a microscope. People watching what it is you're doing. They watching what you're saying. You got to always monitor how you carry yourself. Once you hit send, you know what? It's out there forever. Screenshots. So it's just, that's the hard part of just finding the balance. But now you're looking into the 5 a.m. wake up, strength and conditioning, having to work out, having to go to practice. You're getting hit for a living. And just the stress that every time you walk into the locker room, which be a person that's in corporate America walking to their office, right? How do you think every day they walk in, they just happy to see their name on the desk? Because in pro sports, your job is to keep your job or take somebody's job. So every time you walking in the facility, you don't know if they're going to say, go see the trainer because we found someone better.
Oh, wow.
So that's a whole nother type of pressure where you're like, hey, I'm going to work today. We have to release you. Go see the trainer.
You're like, I'm going to work today. Hope my name's on a locker.
That part, yeah, because it's the turnover. You see a bunch of athletes, injuries happen, all type of things happen to where it's like, it's just a revolving door of guys coming in and going. But it's like,
what's the average turnover?
Man, you never look. They say the NFL is the life expectancy, like 3 years or so, and you can be done. And the CFL is a smaller league than NFL, so you got to think it's a ratio. They try to hold the 22, 23 best Americans. So you don't even compete against Canadians. You're competing to be one of the best 20 Americans that team wants. So every day is like, I got to be on top of it. How I prepare in the meetings.
Oh my gosh.
How I prepare in practice. Because you never know when you get that tap on the shoulder that we're going another direction. And I think, you know what, that's the hard part with being a professional athlete, that you don't know when the end is there.
Yeah. That's a lot of pressure. Did you feel real good to have that part going where like you can show up and know what's going to be expected?
Right. That, and it's like, I missed that part. Like, you know what, man, like I go in the garage, I built the home gym. Like I was joking with my wife, man, I think I'm about to play again. I'm about to just go work out. Cause like for me, she's like, man, it's 100 degrees. I was like, I like that. That's the hard part. The average person wouldn't work out now. So that makes me want to go work out. Wow. So it's like the working out part, or you find what's good for your mental health.
Yeah.
And it's like, for me, it's like that working out give me that. Let me be still, listen to some music, So you find ways to navigate through life without that. But I had to find out that it was my occupation and not who I was. Football is a resource and not the source.
Oh, hold on. You got to say that again. That was so good. Say it again.
And like football or any sports in general, you know what? It's a resource, but not the source.
So good. So good. I'm going to have to steal that one. It's the resource, but not the source.
Yeah, because you figure that's all you've done. Your whole life you've been told you're an awesome football player. You're grateful.
That's really good. I want to go back to that in just a second. We're going to take a break because I had another professional athlete that talked about that level of identity. So let's talk about identity when we come back. And we'll take a break, and then we'll be right back right after this. I missed the part where we're still talking while they're...
Science fiction fans, Volume 3 of the Richard series by Michael W. Hickman won a big award. Voted Best Sci-Fi Space Opera for 2023 by AudiobookReviewer.com. And now, Volume 4 is available. Richard, War Erupts by Michael W. Hickman. Science fiction lovers, read or listen to the complete audiobook series at Audible.com, Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, or RichardBooks.com.
Welcome back, my friend. We're with Manny Arceneaux, and what a blessing to have a former NFL player here and just kind of get to hear some of the inside tracks, some of the good and the behind the scenes and how it challenged you and shaped you. And we were talking a little bit about identity, and you were saying how, what was it again? It's a resource, not the source.
It's a resource and not the source. And
Yeah.
I say that because, for instance, you play like football. I'm a football player.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always told you're a great athlete, you're a great wide receiver, you know what, you're great at what you do. But you think to those athletes, regardless of the sport, how often are they told you're a great husband, you're a great father, you're a great son, you're a great brother? It don't happen. So now you got to think, once that comes to an end, what do you have?
Yeah.
I was always wrapped up in football. I was always wrapped up in basketball. I was always wrapped up in baseball, whatever the sport may be.
Yeah.
That becomes your identity at a young age before the professional level, because that's all you do. And that's the only thing that's spoken on. And I think now when you look at the cases of athletes and things, once ball is over, it's these sad cases. But
Yeah.
being a normal person, you'd be like, hey, they made millions of dollars. Why would they do that? Or, hey, he's a pro. Why he do that? And I don't think people understand the pressure mentally and the toll that it take on you, because I'm taking something away from you. That's the only thing you know.
Yeah.
So it's like the identity, man. It can be in a million places because you don't know who you are. And I think a lot of people struggle with that, because even nowadays it's hard to, let me go find a mentor. I'm grown. I don't need nobody to help me. Let me go get help. Nah, I'm soft. I'm mentally weak. Nah, but I don't think people know. Like, I played 14 years. They don't really understand that it's okay to not be okay, because you figure you alone, and you're not alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that lady from the women's basketball, I mean, she now coaches athletes sort of with identity and talks to them. She says it's kind of an unspoken epidemic that when a lot of professional athletes leave the sport, they're so lost, because now they're not the football player. Now they're not the thing, and they're so lost. They have no idea who they are, and all of the focus for her was on the court. Everything was about who they were on the court and nothing about who they were off. Probably the same for you, who you were on the field, but they're not taking care of who are you off the field, so that when the field's not there as an option anymore, you know, you're prepared. You have an identity of who you are. Now, I know you have an identity in Christ because you're here with us.
Right.
Well, I would say what would be what would be your advice of what you've learned just to anybody watching that they've been in that transition where they feel like they've lost that identity? And it doesn't even have to be professional sports. I think all kinds of people go through that.
Right, yeah, because we can all wonder, go astray, which is normal, because it's hard when you don't have the answers. But I know for me, man, it would just be like, you kind of got to be still. And that's what I had to learn. Like, I was raised Southern Baptist. Mom taking me to church, you're going, doing this or that. But I realize now at the age of 36 that it's about my relationship with God and creating that one, and knowing that you have to be still and to have those conversations, to have those talks. And it's something that's kind of uncomfortable, because as a male, you figured you have it.
You can check out the rest of this interview right here or by going to BibleRevival.tv. And if this show has blessed you, you can help us bless others by partnering with us for as little as $20 a month and help us to expand the reach of this show. We'd also like to invite you to join our Kingdom Discipleship Program, where you have an opportunity to get on weekly Bible Zoom calls with us and people around the world to deep dive into His Word. And you can check all that out at BibleRevival.tv. I'll see you next time, my friend.